Hey, what is up? I am Catherine and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a 3 looks 1 palette using the new Colourpop Honey palette. This is their 9-pan monochromatic yellow palette, and I know a lot of people were very excited about this palette, myself included. Like all their other 9-pan palettes, this one retails for $12. It is currently sold out, but if we know Colourpop, it will be back soon. So I'm just going to jump right into the tutorials and give a little bit of thoughts at the end. If you're new here, I'd love to have you subscribe. I am currently running a giveaway for an Anastasia Beverly Hills palette as well, so I will leave the link for that giveaway down below if you would like to enter. It ends on Wednesday. And yeah, let's just jump into the tutorials. Alright, so for this first one, I'm starting out with a BH Studio Pro number 17, and I'm going into the shade Sweet Spot. So I'm sort of packing this onto the outer lid and then like brushing it lightly all into the crease. I'm using this as a transition shade. Since it is light enough, it can function as such pretty well. Next, I am taking a BH Studio Pro number 8 and going into the shade Oh Behave, which is just a slightly darker, more mustardy yellow, and I'm really packing that into the outer corner and then swirling it into the crease. I'm not bringing it over quite as far as the shade Sweet Spot, so this is to really add some intensity, and I don't really want to say depth because it's not like a dark, deep color, but just add like a little bit of dimension to the lid. This is a really pigmented, pretty yellow, and I'm just blending it out with that BH number 17 again. I am going into the shade Dandy with the flat end of the Sigma X Beauty Bird brush, and I do wet that brush with a little bit of setting spray, and then I just sweep that shade all the way across the lid where there is no shadow yet. These shimmers perform really well with a brush. Normally I just use my finger with shimmers, but I think I used a brush for all of the shimmers and they performed beautifully, and I'm very picky about my shimmers. So just sweeping that all the way across the lid. This is a very pretty, like, pure yellow shimmer in my opinion. And then I am taking a little bit of glitter glue and I am just popping that onto the center of each lid. Then I'm going into the pressed glitter shade Palooza with just my finger, and I am gently tapping that over top of the glitter primer just to give it a little bit of a glitter texture pop. For the under eye, I go in with a Luxie 141 mini round brush. Oh, just kidding, that's not what I used. I used a little pencil brush from Lime Crime, and I just sweep that under the eye. Then I go into Starburst, and oh, there's the Luxie 141 mini round, duh, okay, and I put that on my inner eye, but I do go over that with a little bit of a gold highlight because the shade Starburst just pulls a little bit more green than I was expecting, and I wanted a very gold inner eye highlight. So here I'm just doing some mascara. I use the Colourpop BFF mascara in black for my upper lashes, and then I go into my lower lashes with the BFF mascara in yellow. I wanted to just tie in that yellow mascara at least once in these looks, and I really like using that on my lower lash line for just like a little bit of color there because I don't really do a whole lot of lower lash shadow, and I feel like it just really adds something to the look. And here is the final of look number 1. For look number 2, I start out with Stinger and Totally Buggin' again on a BH Cosmetics Studio Pro number 17 brush, and I am sweeping that into my inner and outer corner and up into the crease. These are serving as our sort of transition shades today, and we are going to be doing a halo eye, so that's why I'm putting them in the inner and outer corner. And then I'm taking a Luxie 121 brush and going into Buzzkill, and I do my best to build this up in the inner and outer corner. I do like a little bit of a packing motion at first and then sort of just like a sweeping side to side. This shade doesn't have the depth that you would think it would looking at it in the pan. It looks like it's going to be more of a brown. It's just like a slight like brown mustard shade. It's not a whole lot darker than that like mustardy yellow shade Oh Behave, but I do put this in the inner and outer corner as much as possible. And then I'm just using a little mini flat paddle brush and putting some concealer on the center of my lid to sort of carve out the halo. Next, I am taking a flat paddle brush going into the shade Queen Bee, which is that really pretty bronzy sort of shade, and I am packing that over top of the concealer that I just placed down. This shade also pulls more yellow than brown, which sort of looks like it's going to be in the pan, but I think it's like a really pretty like golden bronze shade. It really just adds like a very nice, warm, pretty tone to the eye. Then for the under eye, I'm going back into that shade Buzzkill and just dragging that along the under eye and rebuilding that up in the inner and outer corner to really help blend into the shade Queen Bee. And I just added some eyeliner and mascara off camera. It took like 80 years, so I cut that bit out. And I'm adding a little bit of inner eye highlight here. And this is the final look. This is the most dramatic out of the three looks. For the last look, I'm starting out with the shade Totally Buggin'. I'm using my BH number 11 brush. This is my favorite ever brush, but it was unfortunately discontinued. And I'm starting with my outer corner and I'm like putting it in and then swirling it outwards and just really making sure that that shade is nice and blown out. I want it to fade very gracefully into the outer eye. Then I'm taking that same brush and I'm going into Buzzkill and just doing that same motion. This is my favorite brush and sort of motion to use to get a very, very blown out outer eye. Once I place that down a little bit, I'm going back into it with a Wet n Wild crease brush and just doing those same motions, but helping that color be a little more condensed and adding just a little bit of depth to the eye. Then I am taking a flat paddle brush and going into the shade Queen Bee and wetting that brush once again, and I'm placing that on most of the lid. I kind of leave just a little bit of space in the inner corner where I don't put that shade down. Then I'm going into the shade Sunburst with a Real Techniques accent brush and also wetting the brush, and I'm putting that on the inner eye and blending it into the shade Queen Bee and sort of dragging it up above Queen Bee. This is just to really create like a highlight and add a lot of dimension to the lid. This shade is really pretty, but it's just kind of weird because in the pan it looks like it's going to be a really neutral shimmer, and then on the lid it's very, very green, like it's almost a lime green, not even a yellow. But I'm just blending everything out, adding a little bit more of Buzzkill and really blending those shimmers up at the top. And for the under eye, I'm going back into Buzzkill with just a flat liner brush and just putting the teensiest bit of that on the under eye. I don't really want a dramatic under eye for this look whatsoever. And I'm just adding a little bit of gold to the inner eye to go over top of Sunburst on the inner eye. And I'm adding some mascara, which you don't really need to see, but I included it anyways. And then here is the final of the three looks. Alrighty, I hope you enjoyed those 3 looks. Would love to know which one was your favorite down below. So now just for a couple thoughts on this palette. So like most of the 9-pan palettes from Colourpop, I have the green one, the pink one, and the purple one. I don't think that there is like a giant range of unique looks that you can get out of this using just this palette. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I did struggle a little bit to come up with 3 sort of unique looks to do for this video, and that's partially just because like there's not a lot of depth that you can get out of this palette while still having all of the colors be in the yellow color family. And I do think it's really, really easy for it to end up looking like you have a bruise on your eyelid if you're not placing the colors correctly. That being said, I do think this is a great addition to a collection if you are wanting to fill your collection in with some yellow eyeshadows. I think most of these 9-pan palettes are palettes where like there are some monochromatic looks you can get out of them. Like obviously I did monochromatic looks with this. I've done some with the pink palette, with the green palette. Purple one wasn't my favorite, surprisingly enough, because I do really, really love purple eyeshadows. It just kind of fell a little flat for me. But like there are looks you can get using just the palette alone, but I think where the strengths are with these palettes is in pairing them with other palettes, because it just gives you like, you know, you want a yellow eyeshadow and you can immediately reach for this palette and say, okay, well now I have 9 yellow shadows in here that I can use to sort of fill in my look, if that makes any sort of sense. I do think the shadow quality is there. I could have done without Palooza, to be honest. Like I don't use pressed glitters that often. If I do want a glitter in my look, I'm most likely reaching for like my Stila Glitter and Glow or a dupe of one of those. I just like liquid eyeshadows better than pressed glitters, but that's just my personal preference. And there also has been like a little bit of drama where the glitters are supposedly not actually eye safe, which is kind of weird, but who knows? I've never had an issue putting pressed glitters on my eyes. With all that being said, I do think that this is a really fun addition to have to your collection, especially for summertime, and I think it's great that they finally listened and came out with a yellow palette that everyone has been wanting. So I hope that everyone did enjoy this. If you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Make sure you enter the giveaway if you'd like to enter, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!